All right, so I might have put this off a little too long. I have 30 questions about Ryden because I've been taking so long to do this video. Legitimately, well, it's only 10 days old, but at the same time, it's 10 days old. I've been getting comments about Ryden asking me questions, so I'm going to try and answer every single one of these questions as serious as possible. So, do you think Moon Element overpower every element because it exists before? Yes, I do think so, because if they're going to add another element, it's probably going to be like Dendro, and that's not something I want, but it's going to be something that happens. How low does that sword go? So if we go over here, we actually can see that Ayaka has the same, sword here, and you can sort of take the cutout here. Then we'll go over to Ryden, and we can see, if she's just standing there, we can sort of put that with her, and we can see how big the sword is, overall in her body, because she does have to keep it there. So, that's around how low it goes. I have Aurora and Fischl, both C6. Why would I need her? You don't. She's not the best DPS, and if you have off-field Electro applicators that you're fine with, there isn't really much of a reason to get this character. I would say specifically focus on the need aspect. She is better in like a couple instances than other characters, but in terms of a need, you don't need this character. Does her double Hydra team improve with Miss Coffee? So her double Hydra team with Miss Coffee, I do think did improve, because who else are you running? Maybe, Kujo Sara or something. I feel like putting more off-field damage onto this character is probably what you're going to want to do at C0. She just doesn't really, function well. And I think Miss Coffee will be providing enough damage to outweigh shielding and buffing the other two Hydra characters, and maybe even Ryden herself. So while I haven't used the team specifically, I do think that double Hydro did get better with Miss Coffee. Since Ryden has fallen off in damage, meta, and overall use, do you think there's any way Ryden that can still be of use in the future that is viable? Maybe skill, ER, or some teams, or if you don't, but in case, let us know where you think she would stand in the character. I think she's a great Imaginarium Theater character. If you get this character, you can easily get everyone's burst back. I think that is where her place is now. She is a great Imaginarium Theater character. In terms of her E skill definitely can do some really nice things, because again, Imaginarium Theater, you might be using Chevy with a pyro DPS, but you don't have an Electro applicator. There you go, Ryden's your Electro applicator. So she has a lot of utility that she could still make use of. It's just that none of her utility is like a go-to thing and makes her super meta on a lot of teams. It's just purely that she is, okay on a couple of things, right? Is she worth it in damage? Simply no. She just doesn't do enough damage. Best use or team when she is C6 R5. Her best, team, I would say, is probably Overload. I would say I don't really feel like, Hyper Bloom is her team, if I'm being honest. I feel like if you're using Hyper Bloom with Ryden, sure, it's good. She's doing a lot of the damage, but I feel like, we're talking about a C6 R5 character, especially. I think Overload is where we're gonna, land with, possibly using Mavuika, maybe Kujosar or Bennett to, buff both Mavuika and, Ryden. It depends on what you want in terms of your circle impact, but I do think that Overload is her best team, so yeah. How much milk can Ryden hold? I don't have Sinew, so I need comparison. So I'm assuming that she could probably hold about, it depends. Is the milk in crates? Because we know that she likes Dango milk. Like, if we go to her profile here and we go to voiceover. Okay, so I couldn't find anything about Dango milk, but I mean, she's a very avid Dango milk enjoyer, so I would imagine she can hold up to a lot of Dango milk. I would say she can probably hold 3 12 packs, if I'm being entirely honest. I think that amount of Dango milk is probably how much she can carry at once. What is her best use case meta-wise? In terms of meta, it's either using her on Overload or it's Hyper Bloom. Those are the main two things that you want from her. Eula isn't meta at this point, so using her as the dual DPS thing isn't gonna work in terms of this question. So I would say definitely, if I had to say, if you were looking at a C0R1, we're talking Hyper Bloom. It's purely Hyper Bloom, and that's really where she lies. Usable Electro filler for Chaska. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, if you wanted to use like maybe a Chaska Overload team or something like that, then yeah, she's a good Electro filler. She's off-field damage, cool. She can do her Q, get some slashes in, right? Whatever. Is Ryden plus Yay duo still good? In terms of damage, no. If you're just using those two characters, no. I don't think so. But if you're using, Yay could be on the Overload team with Ryden, and she could get a lot of buffs from Chevy and maybe Bennett. It would have to be Bennett, right? Because you would want to circle rather than the thing. Yeah, it could work. It can work, but good? No. Is Ryden usable useful for aggravate DPS like Alhaitham and DPS Nikita. I'm assuming what you mean is Quicken, I think is what the Dendro characters use. Yeah, she is, absolutely. She is a great applicator for Electro and for those characters. The only thing though is that you just have better characters to do that, so I wouldn't get too high on her. What team uses her besides Hyper Carry? Well, Alhaitham, you know, you have any Hyper Bloom team, right? Basically any Hyper Bloom team, Eula uses her, right? So overall, yeah, I would say those are the kind of teams that you're using her on. Let's see. What is even the point of getting her? Even my Yay does more damage than Ryden. I mean, that's up to you to decide. I mean, there are multiple reasons to get her. You know, she's slightly better as an Electro off-fielder, right? You know, she can regenerate energy for Eula. Like, there are reasons to get her. It's just, you know, not necessarily, you know, reasons that are, you know, a lot of people would end up wanting to do, right? For, you know, 180 pulls, right? That's not a lot of people want to spend that many summons. Mine is C3R1, does more than 100k, 500k, your build is mid. Mine is also C3R1, and she does more than 500k. That 500k isn't a... not good. It's not good. Oh, I hate to tell you, but that 500k isn't good, buddy. Yeah, overall though, yes, for a C3R1 character specifically, if she was putting these numbers up at C0, then we can talk about her still being good, but she's C3R1. So yeah, it's actually not 30 questions. It's a lot of people replying to the questions. So yeah, not 30 questions, but yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hopefully you did. I know I'm very late to this. We have like if we go to banners real quick, we can actually see I am 8 days 20 hours, so you guys will see this and it'll be 7 days, you know, for the banner, and you guys, yeah, so I'm a little late on it. I'm a little late. I got 70 summons for Skirk. I'm ready. We're gonna do that for her, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.